So this 50 years marks a very important milestone, not just for China, but the entire world.
Hi, you're watching GLOBALink and Hang at Xinhua headquarters in Beijing. Today I'm very delighted to be joined by Siddharth Chatterjee, the United Nations Resident Coordinator in China. Hello, Mr. Chatterjee, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you. This year, marks the 50th anniversary of the restoration of China's lawful seat in the United Nations. And I wonder, as the coordinator of the United Nations Development System, how do you see the significance of this historic event in terms of promoting China's development and indeed the course of global development?
So this 50 years marks a very important milestone, not just for China, but the entire world. China was amongst the first signatories to the United Nations Charter back in 1945. This event was witnessed across the globe, and President Harry Truman of the United States at that time said, that this charter is so important because it is about building bridges, it is about the UN system. And today China epitomizes that. So therefore, when we are looking at the last 50 years, not just in terms of China's return to its lawful seat, but what it has done as a member of the multilateral system, as a prime mover in the United Nations space, I congratulate and commend China on the successes of the last 50 years.
Excellent. And also this year, China declared a complete victory over absolute poverty. Now the country is well on its way to achieving common prosperity. And I wonder what you think of that. And also, how do you think China's sort of anti-poverty experience will contribute to the global poverty reduction course?
The success China has cannot be underestimated under any circumstance. In fact, the World Bank has said that in the last 25 years, China's push to remove people out of poverty has had a major impact on the SDG 1, which is about ending poverty. So again, a big congratulations to China that in the last 40 years, it has actually lifted 750 million people out of abject poverty. That is an important accomplishment. And in fact, that is knowledge which we as the United Nations system intend to share with the rest of the developing world, that it's possible to do it.
Right. So now let's talk about Belt and Road Initiative. So it's interesting you just mentioned the World Bank. Actually, I've got a report done by the World Bank. It's actually basically saying that the joint construction of the Belt and Road Initiative will lift some 7.6 million people out of extreme poverty and around about 32 million out of moderate poverty. So I wonder what kind of a role you think that the Belt and Road Initiative will play in the process of promoting global development?
Very important question. To me, the Belt and Roads is not just about roads and highways and ports. It is about connecting societies, connecting countries, connecting cities, connecting communities. And this offers opportunities for the free movement of goods, services, and people. Now, I have to say this, I was in Kenya before coming, and I've seen the impact of the road infrastructure, of the rail infrastructure, such as the standard gauge railway or the road which was built all the way from the port of Lamu, which connects to Addis Ababa. It transformed the lives of people that work and live there. So these are very, very significant.
Excellent, thank you. So it's a sad fact that we are still in the middle of the pandemic, of course, and China has been doing its best to help some other countries cope with the pandemic by providing some much needed medical supplies and all kinds of other support. And for example, we've seen China is devoted to making the COVID-19 vaccine a public good. So what do you think China's role in this global anti-pandemic campaign?
Well, first of all, I will commend China's public health response. Again, with such a large population, coming to virtually zero co-infection is a tribute to China's public health system, but it's also a tribute to the Chinese people for their discipline and being able to accept certain conditions that may prevent them from doing other things. On the response to the pandemic, not only has China done well locally, but it has also proffered and supported countries. Back in 2020, I was in Kenya when the complete global supply chains got disrupted. We could not get PPEs and gloves and basic things that we needed to equip health workers with. By March, China already made a contribution to 54 countries of Africa with with the PPEs and the gloves that were necessary in terms of dealing with the pandemic. Again, on that count, I think China has done very well. It has contributed $100 million to the COVAX facility, which is run by WHO. So on all counts, China is doing very, very well.
Excellent. Wow. Now let's talk a little bit about climate change and the environment. So the 15th conference of the parties to the Convention on Biodiversity is held in China's Kunming, as you know. So to host such a big event is absolutely recognition for some of the fruitful results coming out of from the environmental front of China. And also I think many here will agree that, for example, in Beijing, we now are seeing more blue skies and better air quality, and also a lot of the wildlife is actually coming back. Say, for example, some species of wild animals, they are being spotted everywhere across the country. So what do you think of China's work on environmental protection and biodiversity conservation in the past few years?
Now, when you have such a rapid development trajectory, it also has an impact on nature. And that is a fact. And it's everywhere in the world. China is no exception. But I'm glad, and I commend China for having now seized that it has to deal with its climate, it has to deal with its environment in order to allow the next generation of development to happen. And the fact that, the pandas, the giant pandas, have been brought off the endangered species list is a credit to China for what it has managed to do. I'm a runner. I run regularly half marathons, in fact, most weekends. And I can tell you, I can confirm it, that over the last few months, most days we find the AQI levels are excellent in China. So China has set a great standard for what can be achieved. And I think this is precisely the resolve and the leadership that we need from China, not just in China, but to make sure that China provides, it is a provider of great renewable energy resources. It becomes a driver for green development. So therefore, the Kunming Conference on Global Biodiversity is crucial. It is coming at a very important time. And once again, we expect China's leadership, expect China's intellectual brilliance, expect China's vast knowledge that it has gained to have a positive impact in the rest of the developing world.
Brilliant. Actually, I read your story from your childhood, the one about your encounter with that shoe shop owner in Chinatown. It was really fascinating. So you've been living in China for almost a year now. So I'm just curious, can you tell us a little bit about your impression of the country so far?
Thank you. A very interesting question. I was 9 years old and my father could not afford the pair of shoes that I wanted. And what I witnessed as a 9-year-old was compassion. And I believe that nothing has changed there. I see that level of compassion in Chinese society. I see that level of caring within the Chinese people. It's my first time in China, and I can see how China has progressed. I've only read about it in history books, and I believe the promise of China is incredible, and I witness it firsthand. Not just me, but the entire leadership of the UN country team that works with me here.
Excellent. Wow. It's actually quite interesting to hear you talking about compassion. Because 2021 is an important year on the Chinese calendar because it marks the centenary of the Communist Party of China. I guess it's out of the same compassion that the Communist Party has sort of devoted itself to improving the ordinary people's livelihoods here in China. So I wonder, how would you evaluate some of the achievements made by the Communist Party over the past 100 years? And also, how would you see the country's future in the years to come?
I congratulate the Chinese Communist Party to what it has achieved and to where it has come, and where it's constantly reformed and remodeled itself into the new economic environment. The economic engines of China have remained resilient and robust, and the fact that no other country has achieved this remarkable success of lifting 750 million people out of poverty. And over the last 7 years, we have witnessed also that 90 million people were taken out of extreme poverty. And this is precisely the model that we want to see in the rest of the world, where the world is united by the virtue of compassion, by the virtue of a mutual reinforcement and trust, but above all, by keeping alive the principles of multilateralism. And I believe the 50th year of China's return to its lawful seat, the 100th year of the Chinese Communist Party, and 2021 is significant because it's also significant from the point of view that in the next 9 years, we have to speed up our move towards achieving the 2030 agenda, which China has strongly supported, not only in China, but the rest of the world. We as the UN family see this as an important point for us to make sure that we are in lockstep with China's ambition to the 2030 agenda, but at the same time, working with China to share its best practices with the rest of the developing world.
Thank you. Well, that's all we've got time for today's show. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.